Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Not even just good morning. Not even good day, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Just good morning. I woke up about 20 minutes ago for the second time. I woke up early this morning, popped out a couple of videos, and went back to bed. Donna's like, come on, we'll go back to bed. That was all I needed to hear. And here I am 20 minutes later. So if I'm a little groggy, that's to your advantage. How you doing, Craig? Yeah, hell of a third period. No joke, right? So John says guys dropping like flies doesn't seem to phase them at all, nor should it with the depth that this team has. Maurice just said Greer and Mikula should be good to go for game 4, and life is good. And if things go well, if they're a little bit sore or a little bit less than perfect, they'll have some time off after game 4 to heal up should it go the way it needs to go. Morning hungry. Danny was at the game. Absolute epic experience. PA announcer wasn't even able to finish announcing the goals from yeah, that's a good, that's a sign of a good game. We Boquist got the second goal. Matthias heard us cheering, so he came down and he sat down. And in 3, 4, 5, 6, just incredible. Beck says, hey, John, my 7-year-old watches your guys' streams with me sometimes, so he knows who you are. I told him you're live right now, and he wanted me to ask, when did the Panthers start their team? His name is Aiden. Hi, Aiden. How you doing, bud? So it's an interesting story. First year was 93. 93, 94, right? 93, 94, 94, 95, and then 95, 96 was the year we went to the Cup the first time. There's a video on this channel. I think it's called The Real Story of the Florida Panthers, or The True Story of the Florida Panthers, something like that. And it's my friend Nick, who's helped me with the music a couple of times. You guys know him as True on here. And he was a youngster that was on a hockey team down there. And he was there with his coach when the team went to Huizinga's office and begged him to get a hockey team going. So there's an interesting story behind it. You know, obviously more the team existed. And for any fan that's been a fan long enough, if you watched the recap last night at the end, I just got to it. I put out a short, and it's just like, can you believe that this is happening? Right? Just the difference in what's happened over the course of the decades with this team versus, I mean, we're one game away from 3 straight Stanley Cup final. When just the I mean, that's a third of the years I've been doing this channel, and I started it because we were bad. I started it because I was so upset with the changes that we had made and the guys that we had gotten rid of and the direction that we were headed. And you could have not. I wish I had bought the lottery ticket that said one day they'll make it to at least 3 state Stanley Cup finals. Now I haven't done it yet, haven't finished. But even Maurice yesterday talked about how he hopes the team has learned their lesson when getting up 3-0, after what happened with Edmonton last year. So Hungry says, our announcer was posting on X, I just want to talk while the Cats kept scoring. That's funny. RJ, how you doing? Bex? Yeah, man. Oh, of course, Dietrich. Yeah, you got it, man. I was just thinking about it this morning. I mean, I don't want to talk too soon about it, so I'm going to hold that. But let's just say, since Kyle and I started streaming, it's been pretty insane around here. Not saying it's because of us, just saying the luck that he and I have had is just incredible when you consider, timing everything. Bex. Hungry says, Leafs reconsidering running back the core four because this Kane series might be the most hilarious thing happening in the playoffs. I mean, yeah, if anything, this should make Leaf fans feel good that they took us to 7, right? Because nobody else, I mean, Tampa was competitive, but did it ever really feel like we were going to lose that series? In this series, it hasn't even felt like we were going to lose a game. With Toronto, if they make that game, if they make game 3 4-1 instead of 3-1, they might have won that series. Nick says, I don't think this team would benefit from a long break before the Stanley Cup final. I agree. I don't disagree in the sense that it'd be nicer to just keep on chugging along. However, I would rather them win in 4 and take the rest than have this sucker go 5, even 6 games, and have the chance of another guy or two getting dinged up a little bit. So I don't disagree. At this point, when I'm looking at Edmonton and Dallas, whoever wins today, I hope they win the series in 5. Because then that would give the Panthers a break, but not a tremendously long break. Because, let's see, game 3 is today for Dallas. So game 4 would be Tuesday. If our last game was Monday and their last game was Thursday, you could probably see a Sunday Stanley Cup final start, maybe. So that would have us have not quite a week off. It'd be like 5 days, but we'd have to travel. I think I understand not wanting the other series to go 7 now because if we get, if we win in 4, but I'd rather take that than take our chances with any other injuries or anything like that. And there are a few guys that could probably use a few extra days rest. But I understand the idea of not wanting them to have too long of a break. Yeah, Fly Guy. Maurice just said that Mikkola and Greer should be good for game 4. I don't know if he talked about Reinhart or not, but Reinhart can rest. Reinhart can rest. He needed the rest anyway. Hey, Ted, how you doing, bud? Artie says, I agree. I'm scared if we had the 11-day break. Right. I mean, yeah, I get it. I do. Ladies, guy says, one thing Dangle mentioned previously was the tax breaks and desired location in Florida, but they've always had that, haven't they? Yes. Now, maybe the taxes in Canada have gotten worse, right? But Florida's had no state income tax for forever, I just think, the location and the ability for these players now to really enjoy their lives outside of hockey with the amount of money that they're making, being able to have a certain type of lifestyle and the warm sunshine does help the body. I mean, that's just, there's no way, I've lived in cold climates. I've lived in warm climates, and there's no way to deny that being in a warm climate most of the time helps your body, helps you stay, helps your muscles. I mean, that's why old people have been there since the beginning of time, right? Beck says, is there a date the final start regardless of how many games these two series go? I mean, no, it's not set in stone. There's the latest it will start by date. I don't know specifically what it is, though. Yeah, Dietrich says, silver lining, E2 got some extra rest. Yes, that's true. What we got here? Hey, thank you, Nick. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, bud. Much appreciated, buddy. Absolutely. Outstanding this morning. Much appreciated, bud. Ted says, Matthias seems like an awesome young man. He is. He's a good kid. He's got good energy just about all of the time. Yeah, he can light up a room, that's for sure. So, yeah, Simon, we're doing a game today. He's asking if we're doing Edmonton and Dallas. We are definitely doing all the games, right? Yeah, Mike says no shoes, flip-flops. Yeah, let me tell you that, Mike, when it's winter and to take the dogs out, I got to put on like 4 freaking layers of clothes. It take me 15 minutes just to get dressed out of the bed to take the dogs out in the morning, as opposed to just throwing a tank top and some shorts and the flip-flops and walk outside. Those 15 minutes add up, let me tell you. Is that Barman? I can't read it for some reason this morning. Is that Barman? Yeah, Barman. That's a cool name. This is the best Florida team, if not the best team anywhere we've seen in a while. They're playing. They're peaking at the right time of the year. You know, all that time we all said they're saving it for the playoffs. Well, now we see what they were saving, and like I said last night, the amount of energy that they have at this point in the season is just unlike anything I've ever seen in terms of just overpowering other teams with our ability to skate. They just can't keep up. Mike, yeah, I don't disagree about that. So, Simon, there was no gym and fishing this weekend because it's too cold, but I actually did get on the riding lawnmower yesterday. Finally, for those of you who don't know the story, I have 3 acres, and last year, through a series of unfortunate events, we ended up having to push mow the 3 acres because my riding mower went and the one I ordered got stolen, and it was a whole mess. And so finally, we got another new riding lawnmower for this year, and that helps life, to say the least. Hungry, you're looking at the bread. You don't think True's going to win it? I'd have to go take a look. I know I'm not winning it. That much I know. Real Cinema says Jesper Bohlquist has more Eastern Conference Finals goal than Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Boba says Rhino is playing soccer with my nephew. No need to panic, boys. Outstanding. Yeah, we'll fix the flag, Dietrich. Yeah. I just wasn't going to change it during the game. It was very, very windy yesterday, and the door was open a lot. And so when that wind whips through, the flags will move. But once I saw it was that way during the game, I wasn't going to change it during the game. That's for sure. And then he says, Jaws, you watched enough hockey even when the Panthers weren't good. What team can I remember had this great of a road record in the playoffs? Panthers are 11-2. I seem to think I remember Colorado was a road warrior. That's just off the top of my head. One of the teams that's won in the last decade, I seem to remember a team that was just practically unbeatable on the road, but I don't remember exactly who it was. But they just kick it up another notch on the road, and they did it on purpose too. They gave guys rest, knowing that it would cost us home ice advantage. And so I think they made the decision then as a team that, if it came down to winning games on the road, that they would make sure that they performed. And that's sticking up for your coach. You know what I mean? Coach giving you guys a couple of days off to rest. You got to have his back by making sure, because you got, sent on the road now because you don't have home ice. You got to make sure you got Maurice's back and that you play really well on the road. Scientist says, hey, Jaws, keep giving our players a hard time. It's definitely working. I'm not praising, that's for sure, right? Mike says, no shoes, flip-flops, referring to people with injuries. I recommend to wear supportive shoes post-injury, depending on what kind of the severity. It's just like the standard. Oh, okay. Well, it works both ways. Yeah, so to wear support, right. He's wearing flip-flops. So, yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, if your knee is hurting and you got flip-flops on, your knee's okay, right? Yeah. Unless it was his foot and it was too swollen. But that's not the case, John. Stop thinking badly. IDK says, I hope Dallas wins tonight. Lady Sky says she had Dallas Leafs in the finals. I just hope whoever wins this game, if Florida wins in 4, I just hope whoever wins today wins the next 2. And I think the only team that could probably do that is Edmonton. So John wants to know how I compare this current run to the previous 2. This is the combination of everything that we learned in those 2 runs on display. From the regular season, from how we paced ourselves, to Zito knowing the exact places to go get certain type of guys and the certain type of depth that we would need, to knowing to sit guys at the end of the season, to being able to, if anybody during the regular season even got a little bit dinged, just sit them down. You don't need to send a guy out there who's got a sore leg or a sore shoulder. You don't need to send him out there, right? Especially in the bottom 6. And then now, we last year we won the cup because we knew how to get there and we were learning how to finish it off. Now this team has 2 years experience of knowing how to get there. They know how to finish teams off. They know what it takes at the peak of their collective abilities. Bob has found the fountain of youth, and it's just a perfect storm of experience and ability all coming together at the same time. I don't think last year's team would beat this year's team. I think when you look at the differences on that third line with Marchand would have eaten Tarasenko's lunch, in my opinion. Fourth line, Greer and Gadjevich versus who? Okposo, Lorenz? I don't know. Tough call. Except backup goaltender. That we're a little bit weaker there. Hey, thank you, Nick. Thank you, bud. Thank you, Nick. Yeah, I actually saw that. He says the hockey guy said that the best team he's seen while he's been on YouTube and his Game 3 recap. He also threw the word dynasty around at the end. You got to win the games. We got to get – it's like I won't talk about sweep until we're up 3-0 on a team, right? It's like repeat. Win the second one. Because, I mean, look, what we're doing to Carolina is we're not going to do that to Dallas or Edmonton. Those are some really good teams that are ready to play, obviously, and that can win. So I think a lot of us looked at, myself included, looked at the 4-game series against Carolina from 2 years ago and assumed we would see the same thing. But even in the tight games, like the 2 periods from yesterday that were 1-1, the only reason that Carolina was in that game was because Kochetkov had made some really good saves early on in the first period. Like at no point in that game yesterday did I feel at all even a little bit of concern that Carolina was going to win that game. So that disparity is just not going to be there against Edmonton or Dallas. You might get a game here or there, right? Because the only thing I'll say about Edmonton is if our offense keeps clicking, if Skinner is not on his game, that could get ugly. But it could get ugly either way because Edmonton's certainly capable. If we get 6, Edmonton's certainly capable of getting 4 or 5 and making us sweat. Hey, Robert, how you doing, buddy? He says, all jokes aside, Carolina looks like an AHL team. It looks like, it doesn't look like a playoff series, does it, at all? But why that is, I mean, we know Carolina's a good team, right? Florida's just meshing all at the right time, man. Occams, how you doing? So there you go. Occam says, Avs went 16-4 22. I thought that was the team that I remembered. Ted says, Eric, I love Sam Bennett and went after Svechnikov, and Kachuk went after Aho. It was well done. It didn't hurt the team, right? And they didn't. I was a little bit worried about Chucky doing that with whatever injury he's got. I was a little bit concerned there. Manzano says, Jaws, is the injury for Reinhart serious enough to worry? No. I don't think he'll miss any Stanley Cup. I don't think he'll miss any Stanley Cup games. I think he's day to day, but apparently what happened is the TNT crew said he's out at least 3 games. Don't know where they're getting that information from at all, to be honest with you. If I know Paul Maurice, he probably is using this as a opportunity to make Reinhart sit and rest, because Reinhart's played a lot of hockey. He only would take the 1 game off towards the end of the regular season, and he's kind of looked like it during these playoffs. He's played well. He's done his defensive responsibilities, but there's a reason why Boquist has gotten goals each of those 2 games he's been up there. Fresh legs, and he's using his speed to his ability. And I'm not saying Boquist is better than Reinhart, but Reinhart's clearly been not all that energetic. So my assumption is that, Reinhart probably, if this was a Stanley Cup final, I think Reinhart would be playing. But I think, if anything, the rest will be good for him. Two Cats says, as a Rags fan, I can't wait until the Rangers Cats Winter Classic. Florida could have a really cool jersey. Unfortunately, now the Panthers better. So it still could be competitive. You know what I mean? If Igor decides to play to the best of his ability in the spotlight, it could still be pretty competitive. It's the regular season. The Panthers, this was not what you saw in the regular season, that's for sure. Mr. Vids, did I see your comment from this morning? Was it on the recap? I probably, if you commented on the recap this morning, I didn't see it, buddy. Anthony wants to know who's a better style matchup, Dallas or Edmonton. And I'm scrolling down to the bottom here. Who's a better style matchup? Probably Dallas. Let's put it this way. We've had more trouble with teams with high-powered offense like Edmonton than we've had trouble with teams that play the style that Dallas does. But which goalie would I rather go up against? Right? Skinner or Ottinger? I mean, that's an easy answer. So I just want to win the cup again. I have confidence in Florida, regardless of who we play, that Maurice will figure out how best to play the game, the players that we have, and win again. Goat Slayer says, hey, Jaws, having been a fan since the inception of this team, can confidently say this is the most complete Panthers team up and down the roster, bringing everything needed for another cup. Yes, they have to win the games. They have to win the games. I know this looks great. I know we're all excited, and as fans, that's cool. I like the players' attitude. I like what Marchand said. Do you hear what Marchand said yesterday? Until you win everything, you haven't accomplished anything. Until you win everything, you haven't accomplished anything. That's the attitude they need to have, because with this group of guys, the way that they're playing, there should be we should be winning a cup. Like against Vegas, you wouldn't really know. Last year was a season where you looked at it and said this team should win a cup. And this year, even more than last year, considering their experience, this team, if they should win a cup. If they don't win their back-to-back cup this year, something went wrong, and it would be at this point, you'd have to figure out what went wrong. So. But you still got to win the games, especially if we play Edmonton, bro. Okay, especially if we play Edmonton. We saw, they whooped our ass for 3 straight games. We whooped their ass for 3 straight games. And then game 7 was 2-1. So we got our work cut out for us. And we still got to beat Carolina. They're not going to just lay down for us, too, right? Danny says, is Rod Brindamore on the hot seat? I would think so. I would think so, man, because like it's not like with Toronto where they were competitive and they took us to, I mean, Toronto gave us everything we could handle. Okay? They really did. Carolina, this is embarrassing for them and their fans. And, you know, that system that they play is really great for the regular season, but it's consistently been proven to not be all that effective come playoff time unless they're up against another team that is offensively challenged or tired like Washington was. Hungry says, I've been calculating the amount of games we've played in the last 3 years. The team as of today has played 301 games in the last 3 years. It's insane that they still skate the way that they are. To me, and this is just my personal opinion, it's not based on anything else other than the fact I've lived in South Florida and I've lived in Maryland, and I know a lot about how the body works. And what I can tell you is that if you use the weather and the climate to your advantage, if you use it the appropriate way down there in South Florida, where you get your body into a groove of constantly, you know, detoxing through sweat, but replenishing properly and not overtraining and depleting your muscles. It's a different training that you can it's a different regimen that you can implement in that kind of climate versus a colder climate or one that's not even as humid. If you can use that to your advantage, it is kind of like throwing a dartboard, you know, a dart at a dartboard. But if you get the regimen right and you get your body into a certain groove, you can easily become the most conditioned player in that situation, you know, your best player in that position. And I believe that that's playing into effect. That's playing into why Florida is just, you see it on the ice. They're just the most well-conditioned team every night. They're just back and forth, and other teams can't keep up. And we can expend energy early in a game that would wear another team out, where for us, we're fine. We could do it the whole game. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. We could do it the whole game. And so I know, I'm not saying teams in warm weather are always going to win, but if you get the right training staff and you get the right regimen and what you're putting into your body is the right thing, that weather can definitely be an advantage because you can just keep it up year long. What I've had to do for my body here in Maryland versus Florida is astronomically different. I got to have a sauna here. I have to do all sorts of things to keep me detoxed. Where in Florida, you're just sweating so much, you're able to spend a lot more time actually training. IDK says we can beat Edmonton, but they're the tougher of the two. Yeah, I would agree with that. Actually wants to know if the announcers are that bad. I mean, the announcers are basically, and I get it, they're trying to make the series sound closer so that people will stay tuned in. But like everything good that Carolina does is amplified, and anything bad that happens to the Panthers, the announcers start talking about, yeah. I mean, an example would be early on in the first period yesterday, Kochetkov made a really nice save. He did. He made a really nice save. And the announcer, one of them, was talking about that's the kind of save that can change the series, that can change the direction of an entire series. I'm like, bro, come on. We're chill just a little bit. Bring it down just a little bit. Molly, I appreciate that. Yeah. She said, watch the game with the sound off and Flying Fluffy on. Kyle is doing good. He's doing good. It's a lot of work to call these games from your TV. You know what I mean? When you're calling it from, the arena, you can see everything as it develops and have guys. I don't know how he does it so quickly. I can't. I mean, my eyes can't keep up with the action enough. He has remembered everybody's names on all the teams. It's crazy how well he's doing. Nick says, does Florida have any chance of competing financially for Bennett this offseason if he isn't willing to take a pay cut? Well, he'll take it. The pay cut would be from what he would get out there. It's going to be up to Bennett. We could probably find a way to give him 8. That's probably where we're maxed out, is in the ability to give him 8. Where I think Florida might have a problem is in term. Because if Bennett is looking at 7 times 10 from somebody else, 7 years of 10 million, and we're trying to give him at 6 by 8, that's a lot of money when you stretch it out. So the decision Zito's going to have to make, in my opinion, might be about term and how Bennett's game is going to age. And if we're willing to keep everything together now, knowing that at some point down the road, if you're paying him $8 million, 7-8 years down the road, it could be a bargain at that point because of the salary cap continuing to go up. But we'll see. What do we got here? Is that MJ? I see an M and I see a 20. Let me see. Hey, thank you, MJ. Thank you, buddy. All right. Thank you, my friend. He says, happy Sunday, early Memorial Day, Jaws. Coming to you from fabulous Las Vegas. Outstanding, man. I got here on Thursday. We'll be spending the holiday weekend here. Panthers just manhandled Carolina. And is this series over? Headlines in a second. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, MJ. All right. Danny says, for the dynasty, I'd do it. I mean, if they win the cup this year again, you have to do what you can to keep these guys together. And I know Lundell obviously would still be a very good 2C. But what Bennett brings, is so important to this team, because you're gonna have some drop off. You're gonna have drop off, maybe not in your numbers and your production, but you'll have drop off in the toughness and meanness of the team from Bennett to Lundell. There's no way around that. That's not to disparage Lundell. But where your bigger drop would be is now you have to replace Lundell at 3C. And we have such a tremendous advantage with him at 3C against just about everybody we play. And then, of course, there's the question of Lundell, Luostarinen have been the pair. So if you move Lundell up to replace Bennett, are you moving Luostarinen with him to 2C? I don't know. Or to the second line. You got Samoskevich sitting there. Are you going to drop him down? So, or would you just go out and try to pay to replace Bennett somewhere? Hopefully we don't have to have that discussion. Hopefully Bennett, I've been on record saying I give Bennett 4 by 8. But if we have to give him 7 years at $8 million to keep him, that's when you go to Bobrovsky and say, can you take $3 million for the 2-year extension? You got to talk to Bob about an extension, because there's no sense in paying all that extra money for Bennett if Bobrovsky's not going to still be here, in my opinion. Because, unless you're going to go get, what are you going to do? Go Arthur Sheet Spencer Knight? Wouldn't that be a hell of a I can't believe I just said that, but wouldn't that be some kind of something if if he decided he wanted to retire and we offer sheeted Spencer Knight? It's Sunday. I'm allowed to make crazy things up. Forgive me. That was crazy. Anthony says, Jaws, I believe the only teams the last 40 years that can give us issues in the conference are Devils for late 90s. Yeah, the Tampa team, sure. Yeah. I mean, Washington, the one year that they won with Ovechkin, Washington was not to be played with that year. I mean, they beat the crap out of Vegas, and Vegas was a good team. Colin, oh, you mean in terms of, I haven't heard anything about E2. Hey, Ryan, how you doing, bud? Ryan has, I wouldn't say Ryan has joined the dark side, but I think Ryan has come to the conclusion that he's on the Dolphin season. Ryan is on the Dolphin season in terms of hoping our team loses here, because I think he might see the writing on the wall. Ryan's a good guy. Anthony says the teams in the West that can be cause serious issues. The Kings and the Chicago teams. Yeah, absolutely. Trying to think if there's anyone else that I would think about. I don't know. I don't know if we ran into that hot Blues team, what would have happened? MJ says, Jaws, I'm at the Tuscany Resort and Casino. It's off the strip. Nice. That sounds like a lot of fun. I understand, MJ. You don't have to be sorry. I get it, man. Hopefully, I hope you were there for game 4, because there might not be another game for a week after that. If we win game 4, it could be another week before the Panthers play again. So I know you want to see us get the trophy and get put into the Stanley Cup final again 3 years straight. Pente says, Jaws, I saw you weren't happy with the Luosterainen hit. Neither was I. What a joke. Yeah, it was really like, hopefully nothing comes of that. I hope they don't find the kid. I don't know. For me personally, when things like that happen, I look at it from the point of view of what else could Luosterainen have done in that moment. I mean, he hit the glass himself pretty hard. I was actually worried that he had hurt himself too, because if you watch his back and head go up against the glass, he hits pretty hard too. I thought what Blake did was stupid. I don't know what they teach you in that moment, and that's a blind spot for me. But I mean, would Blake have been doing that like on purpose? Like, is that something that they teach the guys to actually do to try to protect themselves? I mean, he stops, but he also turned into Luosterainen. It was just, I saw the look on Maurice's face when they gave him the game misconduct. He couldn't believe it. John says Bennett cannot be replaced. Yeah, I agree there. Hey, thank you, Trey. Thank you, bud. Thank you, Trey. Where's good? I was going to ask you how your date went, Trey. Danny says, is Sam Miskevich too small for playoff hockey? No, he's fine. He's fine. He's just young, and the goal for this team is winning a cup. And all of these other veteran players have worked hard and sacrificed to get to this point, sacrificed financially to get to this point. And you just can't have Sam Miskevich out there if he's not going to be playing at the same level as everybody else. There's no time for him to, on the job training, learn what playoff hockey means. And from what other people have said who are less biased about him, I guess some people have felt like he's just not played up to the level that we need him to play. But that's not a surprise, being that he's a rookie. And also the problem was he's in the top 6. You know what I mean? I mean, that's a heavy responsibility. Playoff hockey on a cup team in the top 6. But I would expect that for next year, I would expect him to be ready to go. Because I don't think you can sign everybody you want and keep Rodriguez, unfortunately. Anthony says put Mackey as the third line center with E2, and Mackey's not a center though, so we wouldn't be able to do that. Coot says, all right, people, let's cool the dynasty talk until it actually happens. Right now, we have the foot on the Canes' throat, and Edmonton will be thirsting for revenge, and Dallas isn't out of it yet. 100% agree there, yeah. Matt, MJ, yeah, man. Yeah. We had a blast. Matthias sits down, and it's like 3, 4, 5, 6. It was crazy. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yeah, I'm trying more to put out the shorts, MJ. I'm even putting them on Instagram. No, Derek. Maurice already said Mikola's good for game 4. This morning, I guess he said it looks like Greer and Mikula are good for game 4. I guess the only question mark is Reinhart, and let him sit. Derek says, yeah, the Devils need to get their health and conditioning better. Right. Yeah, the Metro's wide. The Metro is wide open. That's a good way to put it. Don't discount the Rangers. I'm not saying they're going to win the Cup next year, but in terms of the Metro, the Capitals kind of overachieved this year. Carolina could, depending on what happened with Brindamore, if they decide to tweak things or blow things up a little bit. Hey, thank you again, Nick. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, bud. So Simon's asking about the draft. I don't know enough about I don't know enough about AHL and minor league hockey to really speak on the draft all that much. I don't think we have a first round pick. I know that. I'm pretty sure, right? So I want to get to MJ's. Got to scroll down. There we go. Thank you, MJ. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Sports headlines. Brendan Shanahan fired and not going to the Islanders. Lando Norris wins the first Monaco Grand Prix. Darnell Nurse won't be disciplined for his hit. Wrigley Field will host the 27 All-Star game. That's nice. Oh, so you're probably going to go then, right, MJ? I would assume you would go. Danny wants to know when's your first date with Trey. KRJ says, let's forgo all the playoff talk. Do I hear Marner showing some interest in joining in Florida? I bet he has interest, but why would we have? I don't think that interest would be mutual, right? Like replacing Sam Bennett with Marner is probably not. I can't imagine that that's what we would do. He's going to have to take a big ass pay cut too. Gotcha, MJ. Much appreciated, bud. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Marner would want. I'm sure Marner would feel like coming to Florida, but I don't know. Where and why? You know what I mean? Trey says, am I crazy for saying let everyone rest game 4 even if they're good to go? These dudes ain't coming back. This ain't the Oilers, and this ain't last year. Trey, with Reinhart, I absolutely just sit down. Just we're good. We got this with Reinhart. And if Greer, I wouldn't have minded Greer taking the day off. Mikula. Well, I guess the theory being, Trey, that if we win Monday, we're basically going to get at least 5 days off. Like if we win Monday, and even if somebody wins the other series in 5, I would think the first Stanley Cup final game wouldn't be until Sunday anyway. So I think we're going to get that rest. I think those guys are going to get that rest anyway. But I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't have. If we would have had to put Kulikov with Jones and bring Balinskis in for a game and put Sturm on that 4th line, I think we'd have been just fine either way. Hey, Joanne. Good morning. Good afternoon, I guess. Strafossi wants to know if I think Boquist can be the Erod next year. I think that's yes. I think, unfortunately, with our cap situation, as much as I've complained about giving Boquist that extension, I think if we're going to sign everybody, if we're going to be able to sign Bennett and Ekblad, it's probably going to come at the expense of Rodriguez. Now, if for some reason we can't re-sign Bennett, if we lose Bennett, then I don't think we'll trade Rodriguez because we'll have a bunch of extra money out there because we wouldn't be paying Bennett. And the same goes for Ekblad. But I think Boquist, like Lundell is Bennett insurance, Boquist is Rodriguez insurance. Not the same player. I'm not saying that. But if it's we're set up to where if we lose certain guys, Jones is Ekblad insurance. You see what I'm saying? Gio has really set us up so that if we lose guys, we have viable replacements for them. Oh, good question about Adonis is saying, do I think Kochetkov starting the rest of the series? I bet you he'd probably go back to Anderson, right? He'd probably go back to Anderson. Scrolling down to the super chats. Sorry, I'm missing a lot of chat, you guys. This is great. Here we go. Thank you, John. Thank you, bud. Thank you, John. He says, this time last week we were playing a game 7. Now we witnessed 4 runaway games. Am I dreaming? No, this is happening the way Maurice drew it up. I would assume the way he drew it up is to have this team peaking physically and mentally at this time. They're just peaking at the right time. It's really something else. Thank you, Joanne. Much appreciated. Thank you. Anthony wants to know if I had to choose, who would I rather keep, Ekblad or Bennett? Bennett. And that's not to disparage Ekblad, but yes, if we could only have one, Bennett. I don't think it's going to go that way because I think if we only had like $5 left, Ekblad would take it and stay. Maybe not. But if you had to pick one, it's such a tough call. Ekblad does a lot. He eats a lot of minutes. But I would have to say, rather keep Bennett. Thank you, MJ. Thank you. Thank you, MJ. World headlines: Russia, Ukraine sought prisoners. McDonald's closing all Cosmix location. What's that? Cosmix. What's that? I don't even know what it was. Oh, geez. Billy Joel cancels his concerts due to a brain disorder diagnosis. And the U.S. will stop making pennies. Kyle, start collecting pennies. I told him he always would collect the wheat pennies, but not the Lincolns. I said, you need to collect the Lincolns because when they stop making pennies, those things are going to be worth something. They'll be worth 2 pennies. Thank you again, MJ. Is that another one from Joanne? Thank you again, Joanne. Thank you. I hope you meant it. I hope you meant to go 2 and it didn't take 2 on you. Thank you, Joanne. Much appreciated. Trey says it doesn't matter if Cam Ward starts game 4. So Anthony says, Jaws, can the NHL player safety suspend E2 for that hit? Because I don't think the hit justifies the suspension. I mean, they can, but I don't think they will. I'd be really surprised if they did. I mean, it is something that they would obviously know was unintentional. E2 went up against the boards pretty hard, and Blake stops. I know I said it 1,000 times. Guys are probably sick of hearing it, but I don't know what Lucian is supposed to do in that moment. There's no way he's expecting Blake to stop and turn into him. You would think Blake would turn and turn away from the hit. Cam Ward and net for game 4, according to Trey, right? Jordan says, why would anyone want to leave the Cats? Do you think a couple of them would take a pay cut? Well, they would have to. They would have to. So we've got like 19 million, and you got to have Bennett, you got to have Ekblad. Samoskevich needs a contract. I think you've got at least one guy, if not two, from the fourth line that need deals, and a backup goalie. So that's five guys at least. You got to re-sign Schmidt if that's the angle you're going to go. Now, he doesn't. Now, we didn't. If we sign Ekblad, we don't necessarily have to make any moves on defense, because you would still have Forsling, Ekblad, Mikola Jones, Kulikov, Balinskis if we went that direction. So there's no way that we can pay any of these guys what they would make on the open market, no matter who it is. So anybody that stays is going to be like Reinhart did, take like Forsling did, my God, okay, and take significantly less money to stay and keep the team together. Zeal says, will Rodriguez, Nosek, Samoskevich, and Sturm score in the playoffs for all the skaters score? I think it's never been done. I don't know if Samoskevich gets back on the ice. I was kind of thinking if Greer was going to be out, you'd put Samoskevich for game 4 in. But if Greer's ready to go, he's going to be ready to go. The only way, well, Nosek hasn't scored. I thought Nosek scored a goal. I thought he scored a goal. Or what, did it get deflected by someone else? Huh. Cosmix is like Starbucks for McDonald's. Okay. It's a spinoff of McDonald's. Yeah, where I live, we just got a Starbucks. We had a little building that was in town. It was called Rita's, and they had like ice cream and all sorts of really, really cool stuff. And then the lady kind of got not quite dementia. The lady that owned the building, not quite dementia, but she had some sort of issues. And she kicked Rita's out of the building and put it up for sale for $1 million, which it was never worth even half of that. And it sat empty for almost 7 years. And then Starbucks finally came in and said, we'll pay you. What do you want for the building? We'll pay it, just because it's literally right next to the college. In town is George Washington University. And so literally there's a Starbucks now right next to the college. But that building sat empty for years because the lady kind of went a little Cocoa Puffs. I knew the real estate agent, and she's like, she insists she's going to get $1 million for this. I don't know what she got for it now, but it was a weird thing. Everybody loved the Ritas. It was like the little local place thing. You get the ice cream and the milkshakes and all of that, and then just kicked them out, canceled their lease and kicked them out. Joanne, I don't think anybody would get suspended. I don't think he too would get. At worst, he would get a fine, and I even think that would be a bit much. So I would hope. Trey says E2 is getting suspended. We're up 3-1, and more games means more money. He might get 2. Nah, we beat them without E2. If he gets suspended, what that will do is hurt his Conn Smythe possibilities. Silva says, news, Mikla and Greer are okay, most likely in the lineup for game 4. Reinhardt still day-to-day, but is ahead of schedule. Mikla is thinking of changing his last name to Gretzky. Gretzky approves. Adonis, any trade that involves Samoskevich for me is going to be a no. Any trade that involves Samoskevich for me is going to be a no. That kid is the picture of what this team needs and will need as some of our guys get older, and as we need to dump some salary and everything, as the guys get older. But no, I I mean, unless this guy Nemec is the second coming of Cale Makar, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Yeah, exactly, Joanne. Forsling, Reinhart took pay cuts to stay for sure. Yeah, exactly, Adonis. Just let Reinhart rest. We're good. So, Ted, I don't know anything about basketball at all. I don't. I mean, I used to. I used to watch a lot of basketball, but my basketball knowledge stops at 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 the last championship that the Heat won. MJ says, whatever we need to do, we must sign Marchand and Jones. Jones has a contract, MJ. We've got Jones for, I think, 4 more years or 5 more years at $7 million. So Jones got Ekblad's money. So now the question is going to be, how do we pay Ekblad? Now, Marchand, that's a whole nother ball of wax. That's really going to come down to, if we have to trade Erod to sign Bennett and Ekblad and that works out, I don't know where the money for Marchand would come. I don't know. It's frustrating because I'm sure the dude would want to stay, but we'd have to be able to come up with something competitive for him. Like, you'd have to at least give him $4 million. Now, if you sign Bennett and Ekblad leaves and trade Rodriguez, then you'd have money to sign Marchand. But that would make, but then you still got to go out and get another defenseman. You're not going to get a guy in Ekblad's category, but could our guys go find another Mikkola? Maybe. So that the week after, whenever the season ends for Florida, it's going to be very similar to last year, where it's just like, hey, we won the cup, we're on the parade. Okay, who's going, who's staying? Like, there's no time, basically, between when does hold on a second. Bear with me here. I want to see when does NHL free agency begin 2025? July 1st. July 1st. And so, yeah, there could literally be less than a week or two, depending on, last year we were playing later though, but I don't think these series are going to go as long. So the cup will probably end a little bit earlier. Thank you, Joanne. Yeah, I thought Nosek had scored. Yeah, I thought he did, unless they took that goal away. Donna says, I don't think Forsling took a pay cut. I'm of the belief Zito signed him when his value was low. No, we just signed Forsling last offseason. He just signed that contract last year. Forsling took that contract after he had developed into what he had become. Right? I mean, we just signed him last year. Pretty sure. Unless it was the year before. Real Cinnamon, Real Cinnamon says Nosek didn't score, deflected off Gadjo's stick. Okay, gotcha. Ryan says, I have a Lightning and Panthers jersey because I live 40 minutes away to Amaret Bank. Well, I hope you're in there when we win the second cup, bud. MJ, yeah, you went to the original Doritos. You went to the one in Philly. Yeah, exactly, MJ. They canceled the lease, kicked her out because she wanted to sell the building. John, he should be winning GM of the year this year, right? He really should be. Sturm is the only player without a point. Real simple, but Erod's tied for Kachuk with the most assists. Yeah, I mean, it's there's nobody I would want to see go, but if you could sign Marchand, I mean, that would help this team. I mean, it'd just be crazy. Was there another one? Yeah, there we go. Thank you, MJ. Thank you, bud. Thank you, MJ. He says, my thoughts on the series. Yes, we're all excited that we have a 3-0 lead. However, I'm concerned that because the Cats are blowing out the Canes, it could cause a burnout similar to 2023. Well, that when we played Vegas, it was a completely different situation for multiple reasons. First of all, remember, we were 8 points out, 10 points out of the playoffs in January. So what we're seeing Florida do now with busting their ass, they did that the whole last 2-3 months of that season. And then we had that crazy series against Boston, right? And yeah, we swept the Canes, but those overtime games. I mean, you play a 4 overtime game and have to play, basically the next day, right? Or the time the game ends. You don't recover all that well from that. You were still winning games, right? And the second game was overtime. They were all brutal games. So by the time we got to Vegas, I mean, Lusterinen was out from the broken foot, blocking a shot. And so many guys were just already injured all up and down the lineup that we didn't even know about. And now it's just such a completely different situation with the health of the team and the rest that we've been able to have. We coasted through the regular season. I can count on maybe 2 hands how many times we really played to the best of our ability in the regular season. So the only concern I would have would be the long layoff before playing in the Stanley Cup final, but I'll take that problem every year. I'll take that problem every year. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Adonis talking about Nemec has a high ceiling, but he's getting no play time in New Jersey since they extended Kovacevic. Their other young right D man. I would hate bringing him in. I wouldn't hate, but I don't know how Samo would help Jersey. Yeah, I just any trade that begins with Samoskevich for me ends in a no. Scrolling down to the bottom here. Did I miss another super chat? Yeah, I did. Thank you, Great White. Thank you, bud. Thank you, Great White. Much appreciated, brother. MJ, yeah, it was, and we were just figuring out how to win then. Remember, we were running around hitting everything that moves, and now they've really learned how to cage the beast, so to speak, and play a little bit less over the edge, right? Trey says we don't have the cap to match someone if they offer sheet him. He's a bucket of candy with a sign, take only one piece. That's true, Trey, about Samoskevich. But if you're Mackey, you probably have to think about your next contract, right? And the benefit of playing with Bennett and Tkachuk, especially if Bennett's able to stay, what that'll do for him in his next contract, that could be worth it. You know what I mean? The players he's surrounded by, no matter where he goes, like at that age, if in imaginary world, if we signed everybody, his options are to be with Barkov, Bennett, Reinhart, Lundell, Marchand, possibly. Like that does count for something, I would think. Jay, we got the room ready by default. By default, right? MJ. Not quite like trading Gretzky, only to me. But no, I think we would find a way. I think hopefully everybody's going to find a way. Maybe Bure, yeah. Sergio says, do you think they're seeding 1 to 8 since the Metro Division sucks every year in the finals? I mean, yes and no. I think Florida beats anybody anyway in the East, right? I mean, we already beat, in my opinion, the best other 2 teams in the East in Tampa and Toronto. Like the way Carolina's playing right now, I think Tampa or Toronto would have beaten Carolina as well. So it ended up being, it would have been maybe an easier road for the Panthers if they had changed the seedings. Just we'd play the same teams in a different order. No trade. Yeah, we would have been, I think, with a 5 seed. I think that's correct, Derek. I think they're the 5 seed. Trey says playing with Celebrini wouldn't exactly suck. Jay, we hope Marchand stays, but we got cap issues. We got a lot of cap issues. John, is Kyle under contract or could he walk? He's under contract. He's absolutely, yeah. It's a lifetime contract too. Yeah, I get it. Trey says, I don't want Mackey to leave, all jokes aside, but trading him for Sid aside. But if I was an NHL GM, the chat's going so fast. If I was an NHL GM, I'm stealing Mackey. That would suck, man. Beck says, any concern with the fact that Draisaitl is actually performing this playoffs? No. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not concerned with Edmonton, right? They're a good team, and they would be a boatload because they're trying to, get revenge on us. But no, I wouldn't. We've got so much depth up and down the lineup. I just got a lot of confidence in this team right now. So, all right, everybody. I got to roll because we got a game starting in less than 2. Hey, thank you, Adonis. Last one. Thank you, bud. He says, Zito for GM of the year or we riot. Also be grateful for this success we have as fans. There ain't nothing like it. Keep pushing South Florida. Hell yeah. That's perfectly said, man. All right. I got to run. I got to get some lunch. And we'll be live at 3 o'clock. And then we get a night off. We get a night off, people. Can you believe this? And a lot of us don't have work tomorrow. If you have work tomorrow, my apologies. All right. Thank you all for joining. Much love, much appreciation for all the super chats. Kyle and I will see you in less than 2 hours. I don't even know who to root for. Just root for 5 games so we don't have too long of a break. Unless we lose Monday, then root for 7. But we're not going to lose Monday.